Men jeg kan ikke vente, til du finder mig igen og tager mig hjem. Og tager mig hjem.
Noget af det, vi på Aarhus Musikskole har været rigtig inspireret af fra L'Hospitalet, vores best practice partner, det er den her måde, at de arbejder hele tiden i grupper. Al musikundervisningen foregår gruppebaseret, og det handler altså om, at vi har fælles sange og fælles arrangementer og fælles metodikker, og at vi støtter op om hinanden, og at det er en teamopgave at få musikken ud til børnene.
Samba hembile, samba chikitara mina samba ina, 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 samba.
Hello, my name is Rabia Asad Ahmed. I'm the Mayor of Cultural and Citizen Services in Aarhus. I've been following the work with on stage, music for social change for a long time. Actually about 20 years. I really believe that art and cultural is a social changer. Everyone, every child, every young people actually get the opportunity to work with art and culture. Share the experience between the cities, the countries, on music is that's important.
Fortællingen til mig forbindelsen mellem liv og følelse, hvor man oplever ind i livet som trist, håb og glædelig ting. Alt er forbindelsen, som sagt, mellem liv og følelse. Det findes inde i flaskepostens forklaring.
Altså selve flaskeposten, synes jeg jo, symboliserer håb. Altså når der er nogen, der sender en flaskepost afsted til nogle andre, så er det jo fordi, de håber på at få hjælp. Så det mest elementære, det må være noget med håb. For det handler om det der med at være blevet væk, og så bagefter ligesom med sit håb kunne finde tilbage til et fællesskab. Ny setting, hvor man har det godt.
Altså når man snakker om best practice, så betyder det, at vi skal lære hinanden, og at de, der nu har projektet, at projektejere har noget, som vi skal lære noget af. Og så er vi først bagefter komme ind i det her fokuseren på, at nu skal vi altså have music for social change med. Og det ligger sig jo også lige op af den kulturpolitik, og i virkeligheden den kommunale Aarhus-fortælling, som er en del af vores historie, nemlig at vi skal være en god by for alle, vi skal være inkluderende, vi skal være fællesskabsskabende, og opmærksom på, at de ting, vi sætter i værk, skal komme så mange til gavn som overhovedet muligt.
Jeg gemmer mig væk, men jeg kan ikke vente, til du finder mig igen og tager mig hjem. Og tager mig hjem.
Noget af det, vi på Aarhus Musikskole har været rigtig inspireret af fra L'Hospitalet, vores best practice partner, det er den her måde, at de arbejder hele tiden i grupper. Al musikundervisningen foregår gruppebaseret, og det handler altså om, at vi har fælles sange og fælles arrangementer og fælles metodikker, og at vi støtter op om hinanden, og at det er en teamopgave at få musikken ud til børnene.
Samba hen bilele, samba tikitara mina samba hina, 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 samba hen.
Hello, my name is Rabia Asad Ahmed. I'm the Mayor of Cultural and Citizen Services in Aarhus. I've been following the work with on stage, music for social change for a long time. Actually about 20 years. I really believe that art and cultural is a social changer. Everyone, every child, every young people actually get the opportunity to work with art and culture. Share the experience between the cities, the countries on music is that's important.
Fortællingen til mig forbindelsen mellem liv og følelse, hvor man oplever ind i livet som trist, håb og glædelig ting. Alt er forbindelsen, som sagt, mellem liv og følelse. Det findes inde i flaskepostens forklaring.
Altså selve flaskeposten, synes jeg jo symboliserer håb. Altså når der er nogen, der sender en flaskepost afsted til nogle andre, så er det jo fordi, de håber på at få hjælp. Så det mest elementære, det må være noget med håb. For det handler om det der med at være blevet væk, og så bagefter ligesom med sit håb kunne finde tilbage til et fællesskab. Ny setting, hvor man har det godt.
Altså når man snakker om best practice, så betyder det, at vi skal lære hinanden, og at de, der nu har projektet, at projektejere har noget, som vi skal lære noget af. Og så er vi først bagefter komme ind i det her fokuseren på, at nu skal vi altså have music for social change med. Og det ligger sig jo også lige op af den kulturpolitik, og i virkeligheden den kommunale Aarhus-fortælling, som er en del af vores historie, nemlig at vi skal være en god by for alle, vi skal være inkluderende, vi skal være fællesskabsskabende, og opmærksom på, at de ting, vi sætter i værk, skal komme så mange til gavn som overhovedet muligt.
Jeg kan ikke vente, til du finder mig igen og tager mig hjem. Og tager mig hjem.
Noget af det, vi på Aarhus Musikskole har været rigtig inspireret af fra L'Hospitalet, vores best practice partner, det er den her måde, at de arbejder hele tiden i grupper. Al musikundervisningen foregår gruppebaseret, og det handler altså om, at vi har fælles sange og fælles arrangementer og fælles metodikker, og at vi støtter op om hinanden, og at det er en teamopgave at få musikken ud til børnene.
Samba hembirele, samba chikitara mina samba hina, 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 samba hembirele, samba chikitara mina samba hina,
Hello, my name is Rabia Asad Ahmed. I'm the Mayor of Cultural and Citizen Services in Aarhus. I've been following the work with on stage, music for social change for a long time. Actually about 20 years. I really believe that art and cultural is a social changer. Everyone, every child, every young people actually get the opportunity to work with art and culture. Share the experience between the cities, the countries on music is that's important.
Fortællingen til mig forbindelsen mellem liv og følelse, hvor man oplever ind i livet som trist, håb og glædelig ting. Alt er forbindelsen sagt mellem liv og følelse. Det findes inde i flaskepostens forklaring.
Altså selve flaskeposten, synes jeg jo symboliserer håb. Altså når der er nogen, der sender en flaskepost afsted til nogle andre, så er det jo fordi, de håber på at få hjælp. Så det mest elementære, det må være noget med håb. For det handler om det der med at være blevet væk, og så bagefter ligesom med sit håb kunne finde tilbage til et fællesskab. Ny setting, hvor man har det godt.
Altså når man snakker om best practice, så betyder det, at vi skal lære hinanden, og at de, der nu har projektet, er projektejere, har noget, som vi skal lære noget af. Og så er vi først bagefter komme ind i det her fokuseren på, at nu skal vi altså have music for social change med. Og det ligger sig jo også lige op af den kulturpolitik, og i virkeligheden den kommunale Aarhus-fortælling, som er en del af vores historie, nemlig at vi skal være en god by for alle, vi skal være inkluderende, vi skal være fællesskabsskabende, og opmærksom på, at de ting, vi sætter i værk, skal komme så mange til gavn som overhovedet muligt.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the second session of On Stage Grand Finale. I'm here in front of the Palazzo Ducale, the epicenter of Venetian political life for 1,000 years of its republic. Integrated policy making is the cornerstone of sustainable urban development in all respects. When a group of citizens took the street in L'Hospitalet more than 15 years ago, demanding the establishment of a music school, they didn't really like the city's response. It was not a typical music school, a conservatory, but rather an open performing arts center that intended to grant rights to all citizens, mirroring the cultural and social diversity of the cities. Today, many years after, many of those citizens have changed their minds about EMMCA. This is to show the significance of policy vision and its embedment in cross-policy and wider urban strategies when local authorities design cultural public services. Next, Simone D'Antonio, journalist and national Italian URBACT point, will discuss about this with some elected officials from the on-stage cities and other URBACT transfer networks. Let's welcome them on stage.
We share because we care. Social innovation through cooperation. We, the policy and decision makers, commit to framing through arts the well-being of communities and individuals with solutions that span across policy fields, in coherence with different strategies and levels of governance, to achieve broader empowerment with communities, embrace individual vulnerabilities through innovative policies that rely on the force of culture and the precious contribution of all members of community, rethink the way we provide public service through constant observation and reflection of reality and participatory approach, being both curious and inspired by and critical on the status quo, enable common and all-encompassing cultural models and integrated approaches, intensities and expressions, and lifelong possibility for interaction and growth. Harness and capitalize on the world's best practice stories and experiences using artistic performance, storytelling, and visualization to create new forms of inclusive sharing and understanding.
Hello and welcome everybody. I'm Simone D'Antonio, journalist and head of the National URBACT Point for Italy. I'm the moderator of this session involving policymakers and elected officials of the OnStage network and from two other URBACT networks on board NC Change to highlight the importance of integrated urban policymaking and the design of public services using culture, performing arts, among other measures for social cohesion, sustainability, and innovation. I'm quickly going to introduce you the speakers of this session: David Quiros, Deputy Mayor of L'Hospitalet, José Manuel Ribeiro, Mayor of Valongo, Philippe Rio, Mayor of Grigny, and Pascal Troadec, Member of the City Council of Grigny, Sonia Dominguez Mendes, EU Project Officer and Member of the On-Board Coordination Team from the City of Viladecans, and Adriana Depote, Deputy Mayor of Mantua from the project URBACT Sea Change. As highlighted in many different moments of the project, political commitment is crucial for making the good practices transferred in the framework of an URBACT project part of integrated policies at local level on medium and long term. Today we are hosting a dialogue among elected representatives who led the efforts of cities involved in 3 URBACT transfer networks, having relevant elements in common. The policies implemented in the framework of OnStage, but also in the framework of Onboard and Change, are integrated because they are keeping together many different elements taken by different sectors as education, culture, welfare, and environment. But we're going to focus in this session on how the participation to URBACT really help cities to reinforce and to create integrated policies, and also on what kind of impact this participation to URBACT created at urban level. I will start with the first speaker, David Quiros, the Deputy Mayor of L'Hospitalet, the lead partner of OnStage, and I ask you, David, how the city responded to citizens' requests for a music school, and how the city used the evaluation of public policies as a tool to improve it.
So welcome to the city of Hospitalet, although we cannot see each other physically. And it would have been a real pleasure to be able to share this moment together. But this pandemic has not enabled us to do this closing session as we wished. And going back to the question that Simone was asking, I believe that from the very beginning, since the origins of the creation of the music school, of the art center, 15 years ago, a little bit more than 15 years ago, the philosophy was specifically to integrate the musical education with the other artistic disciplines, so as to enable the artistic language and its different visions and points of view. And 15 years ago, a little bit more than that, as I said, there was an important debate at that time in the municipality itself, because there were the traditional conservative visions. They wanted a musical conservatory, and that should be good for a few selected people that could access that training. But on the other hand, there was also the vision of those who wanted to go beyond the traditions, who wanted to innovate, and who wanted to create a space such as the one we have, fortunately, which is the musical municipal school centers of arts that has gone against the inequalities and has created cohesion spaces. And as we've been part of OnStage, you've been able to discover that too. And it is true that we now have more than 2,500 students in the different actions and programs that are being developed, and that makes us feel very proud. Obviously, when all of these work started, Hospitalet, was part of the democratic movement after the dictatorship. There were several artistic creation and artistic education spaces that were created. And of course, we didn't start from scratch because we used all of that when we created the musical education and artistic education that enabled us to develop somehow the policies that we have been developing through these years. And it is true that these spaces that were created after the dictatorship were clearly inspired in the international experiences, such as the cultural schools and art centers from Belgium, Holland, Denmark, Norway, Sweden. This is why it's a great pleasure for us to be pioneers in the management of this school. And with the artistic production and the interpretation, we want to guarantee the citizen participation in the production of art and we are acting simultaneously in sensitivity in this development. So we are a democratization of the access to culture and practice and cultural welcoming. And this is the commitment of the City Council. We are progressively implementing the Agenda 21 for Culture, which is the agenda marked by the EU. And we also have the reflections of these Agenda 21 linked to all of the development sustainable goals that are being implemented thanks to all of the communities and the territories working on this to create these areas of inclusion in this globalized world, to have social cohesion, development, so that we can access knowledge to different areas of the society. Some people wouldn't have been able to access this culture otherwise. And finally, I would like to gather the three basic objectives of the music school. And we can see this mixture of the political, cultural, urban areas. All of this goes beyond, and we want to create a new innovative model of music school to boost the cohesion I was talking about and to boost the equal opportunities that we need. And we also are trying to reduce the gap between the musical schools and the educational fields. We want to reduce the dropout rates, and we want to improve the educational success from all of this support that music and arts offer to us among those young people who have more difficulties. And finally, we should create a global strategy as a result of this project, of these community arts that link all of this vision that we were talking about, where there's this wide economic, social, urban field to attract different points of view to develop a more modern, more sustainable, more progressive society. And all of these ideas are coherent with the strategy 2020 of the EU, the strategic goals, and also the sustainable development goals. Thus, the fact that EMMCA has been acknowledged as a good practice on behalf of URBACT, well, is a reason to feel proud, but also it has helped us understand that what we've been working on for these last 15 years, well, all of this effort of the professionals, of the students, of these educational centers, all of the agents involved has been worthwhile, and it motivates us. And at least it makes us follow 15 more years working like this, because we want to be a reference point. We want to be this educational model in arts and especially in education and social inclusion.
Thank you so much. Now I'm going to ask to the mayor of Valongo, José Manuel Ribeiro, how the different city departments of Valongo have been part of the action of the URBACT local group, and how the political level has concretely supported the participatory process of the local group in order to design, and I would say also to co-design a policy that uses performing arts for inclusion and social change.
Hello, everybody. Boa tarde from Portugal. A big hug for my colleagues for the different municipalities, and a special thanks to L'Hospitalet, because it was L'Hospitalet that was the starting point for us, at least for us, of course. Well, what can we say about this wonderful project, this wonderful opportunity? It's better to say this wonderful opportunity. Your question is very interesting because, you know, sometimes we think about what is more important, the product or the process. For us, it was really the process. These project on stage and all this ecosystem of URBACT is concerning, for me, at least for me, I'm talking as mayor of Valongo, is mainly about the importance of the process. The way you work, the way you design, the way you implement, the way you engage, the way you put people that work for the municipality working with the stakeholders, because as everybody knows, that is not the normal way to do things. Normally, usually, municipalities work with municipalities. We all have this resistance to work with everybody. And in this way, this project was really a great opportunity, not only to, for example, concerning the political engagement, it's important, it's decisive. If the mayor or the political team does not believe in this kind of processes, forget it. It's one more project. It's not going to be transformative. It's not going to be social changer, because if there is no political support from the top, the woman or the man mayor, forget it. It's one more project. So in Valongo, we were all engaged. When I say we, it's the mayor, the councillors, all the political team, and with this concern of, putting everybody working together. Like, it was an opportunity to stimulate participation as a challenge, not only for the municipality dynamics, all the people that work in the municipality, and they always work there, they will stay there. You see, sometimes we don't understand the importance of people that work inside the public organizations. They are there, they stay there, they are going to continue there. So we also have to work for them. We have to give them challenges, teach them how to work with stakeholders, with schools, with associations, with musical organizations, cultural organizations. It's not easy. It's easier to say. It's really difficult to do. So, and in this way, we decided to put a group of units, municipality units, like education. Education was coordinated all this project, but we brought to this project the social action unit, the cultural unit, the youth unit, and the citizenship unit. We have a citizenship unit because these projects are not only cultural and education. I could talk about the final product or, well, the final process. It's both are important. This opportunity, this pilot project we will have in one of our schools, melting or putting together performative arts, supporting or helping education and culture. No, it's not only that, it's also citizenship. We are building citizenship, different citizenship. So, and in this way, it was the way we worked. And of course, it's difficult because to do this, it's difficult, but it's at the same time, it's very democratic way. We tend to forget that democracy, especially at the local level, at the proximity level, democracy is talking every time, is debating, discussing, agree, not agree. It's conflict in peace, of course. That's democracy. So in a way, this process is very democratic, because you had to adopt participative methodologies, meetings and more meetings and dozens of meetings, hundreds of meetings. It's very tiring, but it's very refreshing at the same time. You challenge yourself. You challenge the people that work inside municipality. You challenge the methods they have. You challenge the ideas they have. For example, when the first time in Valongo, we had a project from the other mayor in the past. We, in my town, in my municipality, we don't say bad things of the past. If we had bad and good things, we like them and we give them strength. It's my idea of democracy. We shouldn't criticize the other guys because they don't have the same team. It's the wrong thing to do. We don't build nothing with that. It's the wrong way to do politics. So we had a very interesting project called the Human Library. It's a social inclusion project to fight against prejudice. And so with that background, we were identified as a good practice by the URBACT. And so later, we had a contact with l'Hospitalet, and we found out this great project, the school music project. And so we entered this network, and of course, our project was more concerned and is more concerned with young boys that don't work and don't study, NEET boys. So, because it's a problem we have nowadays. So what can I say is that this project it was really a good opportunity to find the importance of custom-made processes, custom-made projects. And the only way to do that is to change the way we work, to change the way we think, and to open doors. I don't know if it's the correct word. It's a kind of open doors policy without barriers, and it was very, very transformative, not only for the municipality, and we hope, I'm sure that it will be. We think that the pilot project that will be during 2021 and 2022 in one of the schools with these using of performative arts in 2 of the regular years of school, I think will be a very, very striking opportunity to change the life of these kids that will using this project, this special project. So it was really, really great. And I have to say a very interesting word we have. It's obrigada. It means thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Mayor, and thank you so much for the great passion that you put into this work at the European level. I'm going to ask you to Pascal Troadec from the City Council of Grigny and the Mayor of Grigny, Philippe Rio, how the Conservatoire has been a relevant tool for socialization and the inclusion in the framework of La Cité Éducative and also for the response of the city to social and economic emergency of the city.
Ok, donc bonjour, je m'appelle Pascal Troadec. Donc, je suis l'adjoint au maire en charge.
So, hello, my name is Pascal Troadec. I'm deputy mayor. And we are setting objectives for the community here. We have 30,000 inhabitants and sociologically a very popular city. And for us, the access to culture has 3 major objectives. The first objective is the right to a leisure for everyone, cultural leisure, namely. And the second level is the possibility to obtain an added value in terms of education and access to culture. And third element that is important is from this open-mindedness to have access to practice inside a conservatory or other schools and become autonomous and to feel comfortable and be able to participate to projects as a person. These are the three main cultural objectives in our community, and the conservatory, to do so, has committed 5 years ago and to think about a reorientation of actions with collective learnings around music on the one hand in terms of methodology, and also to think about the finalization of paths for practice, and this is for the continuity. So an experience journey, because in the past we couldn't support the youth if they were left alongside the road and leaving them without perspectives for the future to initiate them or the beginning of the work we had launched with them. There's the notion of journey, which became important, and the methodology of a collective learning of music also became obvious for us with the director to enable to raise all the obstacles that impeded the music learning with the traditional learning. So we decided to look at it in a more collective, intuitive way. And this is how we decided to look at music and the ways we wanted to tackle it at the conservatory, and what we decided to do when we were in contact with the mayor in Hospitalet to join this one-stage project. We realized very quickly that not only there was an interest in being able to exchange about the practices in terms of political orientation, but in terms of administrative direction, and how also exchanging about the users, how the teachers would work, and how the young people would have access to the equipments and to the training. So we grasped this opportunity to share our experience, and we realized very quickly that we were leading a parallel journey, parallel to that of the Hospitalet. And since they were also working on the collective learning of music and working with schools and with a specificity, working in a longer term approach than ours. And this scheme is not only the continuity of work we are leading today, but it is about improving it with other people's experiences, and also being able to validate the approach that we were leading and had started 5 years ago with a city that has started before us on the same path.
Thank you so much, Pascal. As I said before, there are also other URBACT networks that worked in a very similar way in terms of integrated policies using culture and education for integrated urban development. One of these projects is On Board, which is led by the city of Vila de Canta. I asked to Sonia Dominguez Mendes, which is a project officer for European projects and member of the coordination team of the project, to tell us more on how the city of Vila de Canta created open innovation in education, also thanks to this practice through local policies, and how the city is creating a 360 degrees approach on education.
Hello, good afternoon. First of all, thank you for your stage project on Hospitalet for inviting us to the Vila de Canta and the On Board project. I would like to apologize our Deputy Mayor, Gisela Navarro. She would be pleased to be here today with you as well, but due to some health problems, it would not be possible. Okay, so let me explain you a bit our experience with the Board project and our experience with more specifically with education. So education has been a priority in the policy local agenda for almost 2 decades now, okay? So numerous projects and initiatives have been carried out in order to promote what we call the educational success of our citizens, okay? Of our not only of our students, but lifelong education. You know? And quite important, not only inside schools, because quite often municipalities, for example, in the case of Spain, we don't have our competence on education, they are quite limited, okay? So when we talk about education, we're not referring only to education within the schools, but with also beyond the school's walls, okay? When we talk about education, sometimes we say education with capital letters, okay? So it's also the education that takes place on the streets, theaters, at the library, at entities, associations, so all around the city, okay? And we are convinced that all local agents, city stakeholders, have quite an important role in the education process, okay? Not only teachers, they are educators, but also families, companies, entities, associations, sport clubs, the elderly. So all we can have quite an active role in the education of our students. Okay, we can all be educators. So we say that we all educate and get educated at anywhere at any time. Okay. So yeah, and we also think that regardless of the competence that city councils have on education, even it's quite limited sometimes, as I said before, we have quite we're quite powerful, but we have a lot to say and to do to improve the education of our young and students. Okay, for example, as we said before, we have this common idea that we all educate and everywhere. So the city council will have quite a privileged knowledge of our citizens, but also the local companies, the local entities, so we can detect different opportunities and needs and work as connectors of those opportunities and needs, okay, at local level. So let me introduce you the origin of our Educational Innovation Network. This is the good practice on which our transfer network is based, okay? It all began late in the 2009, approximately, when a diagnosis and analysis was carried out in the city at city level, and some needs were detected. First of all, it was quite a high percentage of school failure and dropout. Okay, we also was detected the need to adapt to education to meet the new social and labor requirements of the 21st century. Also the need to introduce ICT, okay, and also the need to guarantee social inclusion. Okay. So with all these and all the challenges in mind, it was the City Council carried out what we call the local plan for the improvement of the educational success. This is a plan in the education field that, apart from several lines of action, it gave quite an important role for the different city agents, okay, and the responsibility, co-responsibility, we say that they have, and the role they can have in the education. So to make them also like active members of the educational community, okay. So among the different lines of actions, one was what we call our Educational Innovation Network. This is a network that puts together not only the public administration, the city council, but also schools, teachers, headmasters, families, companies. So they interact together, they all collaborate together in order to promote educational success and educational innovation. And when we talk about educational innovation, it's not only ICT related projects, but also like social innovation projects. The mere interaction between these different stakeholders, this gives us like new collaborations, new opportunities, new projects that we also consider social innovation projects. Okay. So, well, the Educational Innovation Network has been running since 2013, 2014 at the moment. It has been consolidating itself, okay? And now with the URBACT project, with the URBACT project, we had the opportunity to carry out something that we had in our minds for some time now. It was okay, we have created this network, we have created these interactions, these projects in common, but we wanted this network to become a more autonomous ecosystem, we can say. So in the case that for the moment has been the city council, the one who has promoted the project, who has put it in common, this school with this company or this entity with this school to carry out projects, but to try to turn this network into this ecosystem or a driver group where all the different members, they have more an active role, they are more autonomous, they are the ones who promotes and proposes the project, where they knock on the door of another member, a company or school, university, so they interact together. So the city council that initially promoted this network takes like one step behind, and the members of the network themselves, they have more an active, proactive role in the networks. So we think this is like a normal step forward to ensure the sustainability of the network in the future.
Thank you so much, Sonia. Another URBACT network worked on the connection between culture and sustainability, the Sea Change Network. Diana Nepote is Deputy Mayor of the city of Mantova. Diana, how Mantova has been using culture as a crucial policy for its development, first becoming Italian capital of culture, and then UNESCO city, but also participating to URBACT and getting to this incredibly innovative connection between the topic of culture and the topic of environmental sustainability.
Thank you, Simone, and hello everybody. Thank you. I would like also to thank the Deputy Mayor of Hospitalet for the opportunity of getting this type of exchange information and to talk about this beautiful project, this beautiful opportunity that we have. So as Simone was saying, I would like first to explain, we are sitting in Mantova. Mantova is in the north of Italy, in the province of in the region of Lombardy, and it has been nominated as the first Italian capital city, which is something that follows the European city capital of city of European cultural city, and the national government, following that initiative, did the same in Italy, and Mantova was the first Italian city that was granted as the capital of culture. Mantova is a small city. We are in almost 50,000 inhabitants, and we are an UNESCO city. It is a very particular, this is a very important thing because all our city is a UNESCO site, so it's not that we're having only some buildings. The full city center is at UNESCO. So this is also very strong resource that we have. And Sea Change project for us has been a beautiful opportunity. It's a project on which we import from Manchester a best practice that they implemented by themselves. And it was the best practice that they imported to us was the connection between the cultural sector, the cultural activities, and the environment. Mantova, unfortunately, even though we have such a great heritage, this very strong cultural imprinting, we sit in a very contaminated area. So we do have these two particularities, the big cultural strength, but also problems with the environment. So with Manchester, the idea was to get connected these two sectors, and it has been a beautiful experience because we did the opportunity to, first of all, to create a very strong and stable network with all the cultural associations and also environmental associations that are now. And then we did several different activities. I think there were some important outputs objectives that we achieved relative to the governance. We were able to implement some specific standards, so the municipality can define and can give the priority to who will be giving some economic support for cultural events depending on how they environmentally friendly will be. And there were another important action that was developed during this project, which is obviously the engagement, the communication, and the education. We did a lot of work with these associations, with these cultural associations to increase the awareness on the climate change. And so they have also the opportunity to implement particular actions, maybe small, but with a specific focus on the climate, a specific focus on increasing the resilience. We just finished the project. On Saturday, we did the closure of the project, and by that time, in that opportunity, all the associations that were participating on this project, together with the municipality, we all signed a document, and we create a type of association, association between all of us, so we are sure that we will be able to continue with the work that it was started from now on, and hopefully in a stable way. As for some other city, I think I don't remember which one, we together with Angie and with Simone, we participate to the European call for doing the exportation of our best practice to other Italian cities, and proudly we were selected in a very good position because we are, I think we got the maximum, we are the first ones in Europe. And now this project, it will be, or the process, all the things that we were implementing now together with Anci, Mantova will be exporting this best practice to other Italian cities. So I think it is a very good opportunity, even though maybe the money, which, you know, the economic resources is always important, but I think for Mantova, it is not only the money that the project can contribute, it is the process, as I think the mayor of the city is called just Valongo was saying, is the process, I think, the best, the most important output, how to get all the cities, the citizens involved, and how to be sure that in our case, because we are talking about culture and environment, these two topics that maybe in the beginning you don't think they're very connected, you understand how they are very connected and how this can help to a sustainable development of the city. I hope I've been clear, because today my English is terrible. Sorry.
Don't worry, Adriana. It was really clear. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Because I know very well the project, so.
Thank you so much, Adriana. What is important in this session is also to compare different experiences and approaches to transfer journeys that can have similar elements, and the element of the process emerges as the most important of the journey of all of you. But my question to all the speakers is how to consolidate these results. What is the perfect recipe for consolidating the integrated policies that you tested with URBACT, and how do you see the policies, the interventions that you carried out, also thank the participation to the URBACT transfer networks in the next 5-10 years from now? I'll start from the beginning from David Quiros, Deputy Mayor of Hospitalet. You have 5 minutes for this answer.
Thank you, Simone. Bueno, yo creo que
well, I believe that having a limited point of view of the policies and public policies, well, at the end of the day, it is limiting us to focus on the solutions that we really need in our territories. This is something that we have learned with URBACT and that we have reconfirmed these last years. All of these different years, the different cities, while facing different needs in this global context, well, we have different realities that somehow make us look for customized answers. Thus, I believe that there is not a single unique solution that can be copied. And this is why I like to talk about the concept of transferring knowledge and the experience beyond just exporting or copying or just like a mere expert. It's important to talk about the things that work and that do not work. That's what helps us be original when looking for that global solution, because beyond the detail, there's also the principles, criteria, and goals that we need to detect and to understand, so that in the context where we're in, all of these action which is boosted is coherent. Along this point of view, policies have to be comprehensive, because we need to tackle challenges from different points of view. And that will enable us to give this response to the different realities that we're facing right now. I would like to underline that the work carried out from URBACT and the OnStage network, I think that it can be identified in different elements that somehow restate this need of comprehensive policies. First of all, and I know that it might seem strange that we politicians can talk about this, but there's no political commitment if there's no political leadership. If we do not really believe in the development of all of these actions, then obviously we will not be able to move forward and to apply all of this work which is developed afterwards from the technical point of view in any public policy, by the way, not just the policy that has helped us lead this network of knowledge transfer that I was referring to at the beginning of the second intervention. Number two, this commitment also needs a frame of strategic policies, and they have to be coherent, and they have to give a response, and we need to ensure that the objectives are going to be developed and fulfilled so that everything plays the same music, so to speak. And number three, beyond the strategic and political sphere, there's also the organization itself, the organizations where we're in. And I believe that somehow we need to prepare ourselves to move towards this comprehensive approach. We need a structure that helps us have the centralized point of view and an agile coordination so as to have an horizontal approach in all of the interventions and decisions that we make every day. I believe that our journey in URBACT, in these 3 years of experience of sharing, has also this very important approach that has to do as well with the evaluation, so as to be able to improve not only those positive, and to take into account not only those positive actions, but also those actions that have not worked that well, so that we do not repeat them or we can implement them in a different way. And finally, something that I believe it's very, well, it's quite essential, is that somehow the public administration and the agents who develop these public policies, they should also carry out this change of their point of view and their attitude so as to implement these cross-sectional and coordinated actions that somehow will enable us to be successful in our everyday life. In Hospitalet, EMMCA, the art center, as I was telling you at the beginning, it's an example of this cross-sectional point of view, the integration of different agents, such as the educational centers, but also associations, neighborhood associations, because it's the grassroots culture that has also been involved, and that has helped us have this integrated point of view and to link that to public policy. During these nearly 16 years of operation of EMMCA, the structure of the center has been adapting itself, and we've been a part of different areas. First, we were under education, then culture, now innovation, and fortunately, also for the professionals who need to carry out their work, now it is also under a whole area, which is education, innovation, and culture, the 3 axes. So it gathers all of this journey, and I am sure that we will be able to consolidate and to continue developing the action of EMMCA in the near future. And finally, I would like to say that this structure of final event that we are carrying out, unfortunately, as I said at the beginning, we haven't been able to meet face to face, but at least this meeting is giving us some clues towards where this integrated approach of public policy should go to. It's an urban vision, but this is what we have today, but maybe tomorrow we will be talking about abilities, tools, training, professionals that are developing these public policies and their experience, and another one that will be focused in the commitment of the community that participates, that it's committed, that collaborates, and that it is also the protagonist of these public policies. I believe that all of this framework enable us to have this global vision so that we can consolidate all of this in our municipalities. Today, it's the birthday of our EMMCA Art Center. Today, we celebrate our 16th anniversary. And if we want the next 10, 15, 16 future years for this project to continue developing itself as a good practice, we should never forget these 3 levels that generate this stability. I'm talking about the political level, the professionals, and also I'm talking about the commitment of the community. And I believe that the message that URBACT has launched here in Hospitalet goes in 2 directions. EMMCA is a good practice on cross-sectional policies for the sustainable growth of the municipality, but this good practice also has some room for improvement and learning, and we are committed to share it with other territories, and that's where we want to move towards.
Thank you so much, Deputy Mayor. José Manuel Ribeiro, Mayor of Valongo.
Well, it's last intervention. Give me just seconds to say gracias para el Deputy Mayor de L'Hospitalet. As an answer, well, you see, it's a very interesting question. How can we guarantee that these policies continue? That's the point. It's an always good question. You see, sometimes we think that these kind of small projects are not important. Well, we can classify it as small projects, but big processes. For me, how can we guarantee that the good processes, good projects continue? Very easy. We have to invest in words like disseminate, spread, transmit, diffuse, propagate. How can we do that? We can only do that if we guarantee that these kind of projects, URBACT projects, like our on-stage project, is disseminate. And when you ask me, my dream is to disseminate these projects and other projects to the community, to all community. But I can do that only if I have strong citizenship. If we don't have strong citizenship, let's be serious. You have a political team that like these kind of projects. You change the political team, they don't like culture, forget it. The project will end. So, but if you have strong citizenship, you need special education, you need human touch, human autonomy. You know, if you have, for example, a community of pain on the ass people in the good way, very women and men, students that know that they have autonomy, they are empowered, they think a lot. It's something that we need more and more. Think, a very simple thing. Then, if you do that, you might have the chance to guarantee the continuity of good policies. Because I'm sure, I'm going to say in a different way, I really doubt that an algorithm could design a process like on stage. An algorithm, I'm talking about these algorithms that we have in Facebook with all these engineers of algorithm, artificial intelligence. I doubt that an algorithm could design a process like this, because we are humans. We tend to forget that. But if we don't invest in human autonomy, one of these days, we will have problems with algorithms. It's a question of time. And the one thing that bothers me, like as a mayor, I'm a mayor for the last 7 years, 7 months and 9 days, I think. It's temporary. We are always temporary. Is this problem that we have in all our communities? It doesn't matter if it's a municipality like Valongo with about 100,000 people, or a small one or a big one. Is this problem that you have that a lot of people of our communities, students, they are born, they grow, they die, and they never found that they have potential, they have talent, and they have a role in the society. If it's through music or art or other things, it doesn't matter. The question is that we have hundreds, thousands of people that live this way. They exist in, I don't know if it's existence to be in this way. So what we have to do is really to put a bet on this idea. I'm going to use one word only, not disseminate, propagate. I like propagate because it's more or less like propaganda, but it's propaganda in a fashion way. Propagate. We should have a law to say that good ideas, good projects should propagate. Because if we have allies in the community, for example, in my community, if I have 100,000 people as allies, imagine, it's 200 eyes, it's 200 ears, it's thousands of fingers, it's a huge mountain of brains that are going to defend good ideas, good projects, good URBACT dynamics, good on-stage dynamics. So maybe it's a way, I don't know, we never know. We are always inventing every day. So once again, thank you very much, obrigado, and all the best for you.
Thank you so much, Mayor Ribeiro. Pascal Tradek from the city of Grigny.
Oui, alors je vais alors ce n'est pas moi qui vais répondre à votre question.
I won't be answering your question. It will be better than I will give the floor to the mayor of Grigny, Philippe de Rio. So he heard your question, so he will be able to answer to your question on behalf of the municipality of Grigny. And I'll leave you to it. I think it's the last question for Grigny, but I wish you the best. And hopefully we'll see you soon. So the mayor of Grigny, Philippe Rio. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very happy to be here today, even though it's a virtual meeting. I would like to thank my colleague, the Deputy Mayor, Pascal Tradek, as well. So, a few words. Thank you for these discussions, these very insightful conversations of very high quality, and that allowed for the success of this session. I think we have experienced great times, but we also faced a pandemic, which was very disruptive for our practices, our certainties. It questioned our music practices and policies. So we will finish this this project with sadness because we had some great times together, but I think we should reflect upon the continuity of all that and the future of this project. As I said, culture and cultural practices have been weakened and disrupted by the COVID-19 pandemic. The resumption, the recovery of our musical activity will be disrupted because of the pandemic. And I believe we should continue to exchange on our practices to know how to rebound. whether it is about sports or culture, our cities, the local authorities, have to question their practices. And I believe that it is our duty, well, it is a suggestion actually, but URBACT maybe should give us the means of pursuing this journey further, to know how we can respond to this crisis, how we can reinvent our cultural practices after a year and a half of standstill, of the stopping of our activities because of COVID-19. So this is just an idea. Maybe we could continue for another year. It's, an extension of the project, and it would be an extension in order to share our practices, ideas, especially at this very particular time when we have to resume our cultural activities. And that's our wish, in order for us to meet again, and maybe even in real life, like in one-to-one meetings.
Hello? Hi. So as regards not to the perfect recipe for consolidating integrated policies and what we have initiated with our projects, many of the ideas that I had brought down appear. Mr. Ribeiro, from the mayor of Valongo, also the deputy mayor from L'Hospitalet, and Mr. Quiroz, they mentioned some of the points that I already wrote down to comment with you today. I would just highlight on two very obvious elements that the mayor of Valongo also mentioned at the beginning, but I think they are key. They're so obvious, but they're key that I think it's worth mentioning. One is the strong political commitment to make it really happen, to make it really make it possible, to have this strong political commitment that gets into the whole organization, that it gets into the whole administration of this belief and to make it, for example, in our case, the case of education, apart from being a political priority, to make sure that the different departments, they all believe, they all have the same convincement that education is key, that all the departments have an active role in education. Not only education is something for the education department, but also for business, also for youth, for sports, for culture, for urban planning. The street also educate. I mean, this is not a concrete example, but I think that political support is commitment is a key. Also, for example, in the case of education, to mainstream education to make sure all the other policies and strategies are aware of that, are consistent and respond to this priority. So this is what I think quite obvious, but quite an important element. And also, Mr. Valongo mentioned it also, the concept of strong citizenship. So when we had our event of the on-board event, our deputy mayor mentioned something that I think is quite in line with what Mr. Ribeiro mentioned, is that she said that if we really transfer the need, the idea, or in our case of the Educational Innovation Network, this is really a need, and the citizens, they believe it themselves because they think it's worth it for them, and they are committed with that, they're engaged. This Education Innovation Network will go on even if there's a change in the political government in the city. So in order to make the citizens, to engage them, to make a real participative process, so they get engaged, that it's not always that easy to have them engaged and motivated into these kind of issues. So is to transfer them the importance, and focusing on our example of the importance of the Education Innovation Network. This is something they can contribute with but they can win from contributing to that. It's a win-win process. So for them to make them aware of this win-win process, so they really get engaged, they take part in, they are active members, so their voices are also heard into when defining these policies. So these are some of the main ideas I had as regards to this, the recipe to ensure the sustainability, in our case, of this network or other projects in the future. Yeah, I think these are 2 points I would like to highlight. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Adriana?
Yes, well, I think, I don't know which is the best or the perfect recipe. I would say that it is very, very important, a political engagement at all levels, national, local, European, and a vertical and an horizontal engagement, I think, is one of the most important things to guarantee the continuity of these projects and the outputs that are coming out from this project. I think the other main issue is to learn and to push a lot on communication, on information and education at all levels. Citizens, technical, within the municipality, within the governments, and within the politics, the politic people. Then I also believe that is absolutely necessary. I don't know how it's in the other countries, but I think, for the municipalities to be able to implement the things, we need to get economical availability. So all these important things and topics needs to find a finance way to allow us to continue with this important work that it has been done till now. And then I also believe that one of the very, very important thing is the consolidation of the practice in internal government municipality instruments. So we need to be smart enough to translate all this process in a specific and clear instruments that can work with all the governance instruments that the municipality has. So for me, I think this could be, I don't know if the best recipe, but there are important things to be considered to allow the cities to move on in a sustainable development, whichever is the topic, culture, environment, education, I think all of them.
Thank you so much, Adriana. We got many questions from the audience that I'm going to ask to the speakers. Some of you highlighted the role of URBACT, but also in general by the European Union to make this transfer of innovation, these changes possible. But what should the European Union and in particular the URBACT program do to promote and support your efforts to improve integrated policy making in the field of culture, specifically referring to actions that are not currently carried out, but could be possibly implemented in the next few years, and what could be the areas of improvement for the cities on this? I don't know who wants to answer first. Maybe the mayor of Valongo, Mr. Ribeiro.
I don't have answers, but the idea I have is that public policy with this is a special program. It's not only designing; it's designing and implementing. What we can do and what the European Union can do, European Commission in this, is always, enlarging the scope of. I find myself that nowadays this whatever we can do concerning or engaging citizenship is decisive. We are challenging a very big problem of citizenship. It's a problem we have. We cannot continue to think that it's not a problem. It's a real problem. And if we could, put it together with culture, education, it's great. It's the spirit of URBACT. And so enlarging, putting more money, and we don't need a lot of money. When we compare the money of URBACT with other big projects of Europe, it's peanuts. So if they put a little bit more money in peanuts, it's still peanuts, but it's transformative. It's striking. So it's a question of political will. Probably, maybe not. It's a question of eyes, good glasses. Someone has to offer good glasses to our decisors in the commission, because you don't need a lot of money. For example, I'm in Portugal. I'm the president of the Portuguese network of participative municipalities, with the participative budget and other mechanisms of participation. And for example, you don't need a lot of money to have a participatory budget. We have an experience here in Valongo, the youth participatory budget. With not a lot of money, you can start a very big transformative project. Because just think about this. For a young kid with 9, 10, 11, 12, for example, 10,000 euros, it's a mountain of money. Of course, it's not a lot of money for a mayor. It says, 10,000, it's nothing. But for a kid, for a young boy and a young girl, sometimes a little amount of money, it's transformative. So you can use this idea in other projects. So maybe to engage more, give more information, invest in more communication of the URBACT, or I don't know. I don't have an answer, but it's ideas.
From a mayor to another mayor, the mayor of Grigny, what do you think about the type of support that the European Union or URBACT can give on this? I don't know if the mayor of Grigny, Filippo, is listening to us, but maybe we can ask the same question to Sonia.
Well, I completely agree with the words of Mayor of Valongo. Maybe to add, now the projects that our projects are finishing, I think it would be great if we could also have some space, platform to continue all this learning among, for example, these networks on stage and maybe on board that we have several points in common to continue changing the learning. I mean, the format would be different from our normal transport network, but to continue giving added value, learning, this exchange among these city networks that have this thematic in common, I think would be quite interesting to go on with what we have started to work with.
Thank you so much, Sonia. I see that the mayor of Grigny right now has the headphones and mic working, so please.
Oui. Pour reprendre les propos de Sonia Dominguez.
So to get back to what Sonia was saying, I think it is absolutely paramount to pursue our work together. We have many fears and concerns after this pandemic, and we need to question our local ecosystems. we need to see how much resilience we have in terms of cultural practices. We will all experience great difficulties, I guess, to resume our cultural and musical activities, and we need, and Europe should hear this, should hear us out. We need those cultural practices, and the moments that we have, the times we have experienced so far, and all the things that we did in this project should continue in order for us to exchange our ideas, to discuss how we can resume our activities after this pandemic. Europe needs culture. Our municipalities need culture, and we need to share our ideas given this pandemic that we faced. And so if there is one request, it would be to continue this work for at least another 1 or 2 years to know how to manage this resumption of activity. Thank you.
Give the floor to Adriana Nepote, Deputy Mayor of Mantua, how URBACT and the European Union can support the creation of integrated policies.
Well, I think it is like everybody was saying just before me, the opportunity to exchange the experience, to learn and know what the other cities are doing. Sometimes nothing needs to be invented, just need to be transferred. So I think URBACT could be this perfect platform on which the cities can find and can get some very good ideas from other cities and easy to implement. I think Europe is, is a big driver in the cultural policies and needs to push the cities and the governments to consider the culture as one of the main, maybe one of the most important instruments that the people have to make, to become more resilient to everything, to environment, to education, and COVID. The pandemic has shown how vulnerable we are, and having the possibility to learn from other cities how they have made this very hard period how the cities were continuously working. It is also important because it gives us the opportunity to learn and maybe implement easy solutions to some problems that we believe that are huge. So I think, as I said before, communication, information, and education, in a way, it is one of the most important things.
Thank you, Adriana. I don't know if the Deputy Mayor of L'Ospitalet, David Quiros, is still connected, because I don't see him on the camera. I see him right now. Okay, David.
Bueno, yo creo que, abundando en lo que han dicho mis compañeros, pero yo creo que sí que...
I agree with what my colleagues have said, but I think that URBACT and the EU, they help us. They do help us because somehow the fact, I mean, one of the conditions for us to be able to have resources or to share or to leader the project involves this cross-sectional vision, the vision where different agents need to share. And in fact, the characteristics of the calls themselves, they require that we work with different agents, the universities, the private companies, the social arena. So indirectly, I think that they are generating what I was talking about in my second intervention. So the administration needs to make this effort to understand that dynamics and public policies have changed, and we need to take into account many different visions. So I would like to restate what I said. You know, the way that this call was organized for us to opt to these resources and organization obliges us to include this cross-sectional vision. And if we do not do this as an administration or as an institution, we won't be able to participate in these calls. They are demanding projects. They are obliging us to be better and to have this 360-degree point of view. This is something which is linked to the pandemic, as many of you said, but also it is linked to this comprehensive point of view so that we can reach all of the corners of our territory.
Most of your answers is related to the effect of the pandemic on the policies that you are implementing in your cities. And there is a question from Sandra, our lead expert, to all the panelists. How did the pandemic help to reframe in any way the importance of culture and of the integrated policies for the future resilience of your cities? I will start from David, who mentioned this aspect, and then let's last answer.
Thank you, Simone. Bueno, yo creo que la cultura.
Well, I think that culture has a very important role, and it has had to during this year. In the municipality, from the government, we needed to focus on this because the culture, the cultural agents, the creators, we didn't want them to be lagging behind. You know, there was lots of discourse and concern regarding several groups, but the group of artists, the cultural group, was one of the first groups that had to stop their activity here in Spain because of all of the limitations that the health authorities were setting. And it has been one of the last ones to regain their normality. So we went for a hybrid culture proposal so that we could continue boosting the cultural action, and also because we wanted the artists and the different artistic groups to be able to continue having some minimum resources, some minimum income, so that they could survive in this very difficult moment. And we focused on that, and we increased the budget, the item of political cultures in the city. That line was increased. So we focused on the hybrid modality, and we've been moving towards face-to-face events when the authorities have enabled us to have face-to-face contact, so that the whole of the cultural sector had not been suffering so much, for them not to suffer so much. And I think that the pandemic has helped us understand the need and everything that the cultural sector has given to society without expecting anything in exchange.
Thank you so much, Mayor Ribeiro.
Well, this pandemic, in this kind of war, pandemic war, because it's a war, we found out, everybody found out that we are animals. We are social animals. And during the pandemic, when we were forced to be at home and municipalities without people, we had to adapt. That's the story of humans in our planet, always adapting to survive. So, and it is one of the important things of this negative thing that is the pandemic. But as everything, as always, we have some positive aspects. One of the aspects was that suddenly a lot of people found out the importance of being together, the importance of the other, the importance of culture, the importance of education, simple things like go to the market. It's something important to be with our neighbor. Hello, how are you? To speak, to free from the mask. And culture, the question was about culture, the importance of culture. We are social animals. Social animals live with culture. As you know, culture is one of the dimensions that it's not managed by the European Commission because it's identitary. You have culture in Spain, in Portugal, in France. It's what we are. Culture turns us what we are. So, and with the pandemic war, when you are forced to be not a social animal, but a kind of a Zoom animal, Teams animal, all these platforms animal, you suddenly find out that, well, there's a problem. We have to, we have to value culture. It's really important. And you saw the way a lot of governments had difficulties to lead with the culture sector. They had to invent, because really, and also it was incredible to see all over Europe the way that, because even when you talk about the way people work in the cultural sector, it's typical, it's very special. But okay, of course, all the governments, they found out ways to support, but it was very hard, and it's still very hard. And we will have for some time after the pandemic, because the pandemic is going to stop. But we will have to manage during some time with the effects, the side effect, the collateral effects. And here in Valongo, when we had in the beginning of the pandemic, or the coronavirus pandemic, we adopt a tag, an idea, a very simple tag, the idea of resisting the virus, but resisting not only in health terms, but also in mental terms, democratic terms, economical terms, social. So listen, Simon, Antonio, I have to go because I have a meeting, and it's great to be here with you, but my time is really, I have a problem. So if you could let me in some minutes go, I really appreciate that, okay?
Thank you so much, Mayo. We are going towards the end until 5 o'clock, but I really thank you for being here with us, and we will continue this lovely conversation with the rest of the speakers here at the panel. So thank you so much, and I really hope to see you soon in person and not just behind the screen.
Yeah, we have to be together. Yeah, it's urgent. Yeah, organize something to be together. We need to be together.
Okay. Great. I will pass this message to our friends and colleagues of L'Hospitalet.
All the best.
I don't know if the mayor Philippe Rio is listening to us, but I will ask him also this question about the impact that the pandemic had in making culture a relevant element for community cohesion in Grigny, and also hopefully for the recovery. The question is about the impact of the pandemic on Grigny, if the pandemic had an impact on on reframing the importance of culture and integrated policy for the future resilience of the city.
La pandémie Covid.
The COVID pandemic has a great impact, has increased precarity and poverty. It has made more fragile sports and culture. And now we must reinvent the recovery, both economic and social, but at the same time for culture and sports, with different associations, with stakeholders, but families as well. And we have worries about the recovery of cultural activities and their restarting because of the means that are dedicated from the family to cultural practices and sports practices. And for the next 2 months, or next 6 months rather, we will be able to understand the COVID impact on the population in terms of activities. Are the children going to come back to the conservatories? For a year and a half now, we have been working with a lot of innovations, creativity, but not as we did before. And the question of professionals, music professionals, culture professionals, amateurs as well, are wondering how can we come back to the normal life we used to have after these events. We think that the fees are going to change because social precarity is very high, very present in the fragile cities such as Grigny. And we need to bring back a desire to learn this. And when we are stopping the practice of a musical instrument for a year, when we don't have a piano at home, for example, when the conservatory is closed, you must bring back the children in and make them want to learn. You need to provide the means to the families, and we are thinking to make these practices almost free because of the past year, in order for the difficulties and the obstacles be overcome, and so that the professionals can work and can convey their knowledge, their know-how to the children once again. The 6th next month will be determining, and this is why we need to continue to meet, to exchange, to understand our practices with the consequences that are social and cultural that have been created by the pandemic.
Thank you, Mayor. Sonia?
Sorry. Well, in our case, with the URBACT project, was more focused on education, no? The education part of the project. Well, it was also a very impacted sector as well. So we were dealing with our members, wealthy members, our stakeholders were mainly in the education field. So you can imagine that teachers, they had to answer so many basic needs during that month. For example, we were talking about, we had some colleagues that they had to worry about ensuring that children had some meals, every day. So, so we also had to adapt to these needs, special needs, basic needs of the moment. But well, it was not the opportunity, but we also had to adapt, as the mayor of Valongo said, for example, and take profit of the opportunity that our project gave us, the board, for example, and try to think, to reflect with the members of our URBACT local group, how our group, composed by teachers, headmasters, companies, families, entities, what we could do to improve the educational situation in our cities. That's why, for example, this gave us the opportunity to think on some alternative projects, local projects, to carry out together with our different stakeholders to improve the situation and the needs created by the new context. Also related to what Mayor of Grigny just mentioned, and it also appeared in some of the meetings with our local support groups and several teachers, headmasters at high schools, also primary schools. They highlighted the impact the lack of cultural activities, of sport activities, of extracurricular activities had on the education of children. They could notice that all these long periods without this kind of cultural activities, also the relationship. It was, I was listening to you, and it was something that really appeared at normal meetings with our ULG members, something they could feel that it was so evident. So I think it's something that, I mean, we all are aware of the importance, but now we can see really the impact, no? So I think it's quite an important element to take into account. Mm-hmm.
Adriana, with a touch on environment as well.
Yes, so for Mantova, being in Lombardy region, we were one of the first region in Europe, and we were badly hit by the pandemic. And obviously, for our city, for the cultural sector, it has been a big issue. But I think, the pandemic is showing how we need now to, is obliging us to reinvent ourselves. The thing is, not only the cultural sector has been badly impacted, but I think the full society in all his aspects and in all his sectors. So we need now to think how using the culture as an instrument, and considering now the new regulations to assure the distance and all the requirements for assuring health environment. For Mantova, it's been also, I think, an opportunity to reinvent ourselves and use the culture as a big instrument, a potent, very potential, the potential that the culture it has, especially to attack and to work on the collateral effects, not only economic, because I think, the social, the community, the whole community has been hit strongly. Now we need to see how to increase our resilience for this and also for the future. I think the pandemic has been in a very bad thing, but also a big opportunity for the municipalities and for the governments to investigate new ways of remodeling our governance systems. We are working on it. Of course, we don't have the answer, but we are working on it.
We are going to find this answer together. Thank you so much, Adriana. Thank to all the speakers who were with us in this session. It's time for conclusion now, but before going to the final video of conclusion, remind you that tomorrow morning there will be the third session of the grand finale event of OnStage at 10 o'clock. See you. Bye-bye.
Bonne soirée. Bye-bye. Bonne soirée.
Good evening.
Chi è Biagio Cistulli?
Sono l'assessore alle politiche sociali del comune di Adelfia, un comune di 17.000 abitanti alle porte di Bari. Sono l'assessore alle politiche sociali del comune di Adelfia dal 2016, quindi da 4 anni.
Nell'attuazione delle sue politiche sociali, il comune di Adelfia utilizza attività creative e/o artistiche?
Il nostro comune è aperto ad ogni genere di collaborazione con le istituzioni scolastiche e le associazioni culturali del territorio, alcune fra queste ad indirizzo musicale e teatrale. Un obiettivo fondamentale del nostro programma amministrativo è senz'altro quello di dar vita a una rete che possa mettere in atto politiche inclusive di integrazione rivolte ai nostri piccoli utenti, in particolar modo con disturbo dello spettro autistico, disabili o provenienti da situazioni familiari complesse. Fra le collaborazioni instaurate in questi anni, una in particolare va nella direzione artistica. Grazie a un protocollo siglato con l'associazione Musica in Gioco si è creata una sinergia che ha permesso di attuare una vera e propria strategia di welfare. La musica utilizzata come strumento di inclusione sociale che ha visto l'inserimento nelle attività di questa associazione dei nostri piccoli utenti, anche appartenenti alle fasce più deboli. Non si tratta del solito progetto rivolto esclusivamente agli utenti deboli, ma una vera e propria integrazione fra ragazzi di ogni estrazione sociale, problematici e non. Quella che in gergo musicale appunto si indica con il termine fusione. La collaborazione tra il comune di Adelfia e Musica in Gioco ha radici ventennali e formalizzata nel 2010. In quell'anno Musica in Gioco contava 38 allievi, oggi nel 2020 ne conta ben 160 suddivisi in 3 orchestre.
Conosce politiche di welfare di altri paesi europei a cui ispirarsi?
Non molto, ma la voglia di conoscere le attività messe in campo da altre realtà europee è tanta. Da qui l'interesse a candidarsi al programma di respiro europeo URBACT, nato da una felice intuizione della dottoressa Francesca Schiavone, consulente del nostro comune, e della collega Maria Cesaria Giordano. In questi anni, grazie al progetto URBACT ONSTAGE, abbiamo visto come poter ottimizzare le politiche inclusive attraverso le arti performative. Credo che l'EMMCA, capofila del progetto, rappresenti un grande esempio di integrazione attraverso la musica, il teatro e la danza.
Come il comune di Adelfia pensa di poter mettere in pratica l'inclusione sociale?
Per realizzare le politiche inclusive di integrazione non è sufficiente disporre esclusivamente dei fondi finalizzati, che tra l'altro in comuni piccoli come il nostro non sempre abbondano, ma è indispensabile avere la collaborazione dei soggetti attuatori. Ecco perché ritengo condizione necessaria e sufficiente l'interazione con le realtà presenti sul territorio. L'accordo tra il comune e Musica in Gioco rappresenta solo la punta dell'iceberg. Sotto il livello dell'acqua, infatti, ci sono tante realtà del nostro territorio, le scuole, le associazioni, le parrocchie, le famiglie, con cui abbiamo formato l'URBACT Local Group, una rete fra tutte le componenti summenzionate che si è resa protagonista di tutte le fasi progettuali. Alcuni componenti hanno potuto anche toccare direttamente con mano quelle che sono le realtà dei comuni partner europei. Abbiamo così raggiunto un duplice obiettivo, l'inclusione dei bambini più deboli e il coinvolgimento della nostra comunità.
Cosa state studiando per attuare delle politiche inclusive?
Stiamo mettendo in atto una serie di progetti rivolti ai nostri piccoli utenti, in collaborazione con i colleghi con delega alle politiche giovanili Viviana La Firenza e allo sport Natale Macchia, realizzati insieme alle scuole e alle associazioni, appunto la rete di cui parlavamo. Il nostro obiettivo è quello di creare un circuito virtuoso, una specie di catena solidale. Questo percorso potrebbe avere interessanti risvolti anche a livello scientifico. Grazie alla collaborazione con importanti realtà quali l'Università di Aarhus, di Bari e di Oxford e l'importante supporto del nostro comprensivo Moro Falcone e dell'associazione ASFA, stiamo mettendo in atto uno studio sugli effetti del training musicali sui nostri piccoli con disturbo dell'apprendimento. Ci siamo posti un obiettivo certo molto ambizioso. Vogliamo dimostrare alle autorità sociosanitarie che la musica può rappresentare una valida alternativa alle misure terapiche tradizionali di sostegno ai soggetti autistici e potrebbe portare anche a una riduzione della spesa sanitaria della nostra regione. Voglio infine ringraziare tutte le componenti che a vario titolo stanno condividendo questo percorso.
Orchestra Sociale Giovanile Musica in Gioco.